Hello, everybody. Welcome to Reserve Seating. We are talking about the most anticipated, most asked for review that we've ever had.
And I really just want to say, I think it's time everyone calms down because we're
Yeah.
finally doing it. It's
hmm
finally happening. You don't need to harass us with emails and text messages and blue sky posts and all kinds of other things. Like Patrick's, he's getting really frustrated with this. He keeps saying, guys, can you please ask the reserve seating audience to calm down asking for Liberty Heights? Can you please ask them? Listen, it's from 1999. It's not a big deal. Joe Mantegna isn't going anywhere. I understand this is your month-long Joe Mantegna celebration, but if you could please just calm the audience down. So, folks, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but if you could please consider this episode our gift to you.
We not only wrestled control of this episode from Patrick's Patreon series celebrating the movies of 1999. Rob's not exaggerating. The heat was so heavy about when is the Liberty Heights reserve seating? When is the Liberty Heights reserve seating? We deactivated our Twitter accounts because it got so crazy. So let's talk about Liberty Heights. So we always start our Joe Mantegna
Yeah.
series reviews with how is Joe in this? I think before we dive into that, I just sort of want to set up like the three storylines of the movie because I
Okay.
think it'll help us kind of have the conversation around it. So
Yeah.
it takes place in 1950s Baltimore. It is centered on three men in the same family, a father and two sons. Joe Mantegna is the father. He runs a burlesque house and a numbers racket.
Mhm.
And he's Jewish. It's kind of like a little bit of like he's a low level, I wouldn't even say a mobster. He's just a bookie.
Yeah, it's just a bookie.
He's just a bookie. He has two sons. The older son is Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody and his friends, played by David Krumholtz and Stewart from The Big Bang Theory, are trying to ingratiate themselves in the WASP non-Jewish community of Baltimore in the
Mhm.
50s. And the younger son is played by Ben Foster, who is a weird lad. And his portion of the movie is mostly focused on the integration of the schools in the 50s, and he becomes enamored with one of the new students who is a black woman, and they kind of have a melding of their backgrounds in terms of music and pop culture and just faith,
Yeah.
things of that sort. And they develop a friendship and relationship. There's gangsters played by everybody's first choice for a gangster, Orlando Jones.
How do you know this is 1999? Because Orlando Jones is in this film.
It was written by Barry Levinson, directed by Barry Levinson. I made a mistake on the last episode saying that this was the last of his Baltimore trilogy. There were four movies. It was a
Oh.
quadrilogy. It was Diner, Tin Men, Avalon, and then Liberty Heights when nobody was watching anymore. What did you think of, I guess, Montana's character, his performance, his storyline? Let's start there.
Okay, sticking just with Joe, this is like, to me, the sort of platonic ideal of like stock Joe Mantegna character.
Yeah.
Like, there's my cat. Like, Joe Mantegna was frequently called upon to play this kind of guy. This is very similar to like a Searching for Bobby Fischer. Like, he plays good, he gives good gangster and he
hmm
gives good dad. And sometimes
Yeah.
he's occasionally called upon to do both. And this is one of those cases. I think he's totally fine in a supporting role in this movie. He's doing Joe Mantegna things.
Yeah, I mean, he's so charismatic as a performer that he can't
Totally.
do any wrong. It's sort of also what I described in the American Gangster episode recently, that this is off the shelf Montaigne a little
Totally.
bit. Like, there's
Exactly.
nothing, it's not going to be like in his career reel necessarily. Like, remember this powerful moment from Liberty Heights. But I find his character a little interesting. Maybe more interesting than the Suns. I guess that's another good question for you. Like, what of those three storylines, like F Mary kill them?
Yeah, Mantegna I'm marrying because I mean, come on, look at him. The Adrian Brody stuff is like probably the the stickiest. I joked on Letterboxd that I saw the Brutalist this weekend, and I
Mm.
joked that this was my second favorite movie about Adrian Brody dealing with his Judaism that I saw this weekend.
Good thing you
So
didn't see The Pianist, then it would have been the third probably.
so there's like a little bit of stuff there. So I'd probably say I'm effing that one.
Mm.
And despite Krumholtz being in the other storyline, I mean that one is just feels very boilerplate. It feels like very
You mean
much,
Ben Foster?
yeah, the Ben Foster one with
Okay. All right.
Krumholtz.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one just feels like that one feels like the storyline you put in the coming of age movie to give it like a superstructure, like, and to
Mhm.
set it in time. This is a very like boomery, like let's remember the 50s kind of thing. And obviously there's some stuff today that kind of it feels quaint because it's like, oh, remember the 50s when there was racism and now everything's better. And it's like,
I'm conflicted about it a little bit. I definitely would kill the Ben Foster storyline. One, I'm thinking that the Barry Levinson surrogate is the Ben Foster character.
I have to imagine. Yeah, I
I
feel
would
like
think
because
so.
yeah,
I'm killing that one because I feel like the actress playing his friend,
yes.
the character should know that he dresses like Adolf Hitler and that even though he's grounded, he still watches TV while in
It's like
costume.
Hitler. Yeah, not
He's
great.
so I don't really understand. Like I get like, gallows humor and everything like that, but I don't know if I buy two aspects of that. One is this happened like 10 years or so after the Holocaust. I
Yeah.
don't think that people were as glib about it probably by that point, if they are even ever. And then two, where the fuck is he sourcing this costume from? And then I just felt bad because the girl seems so sweet
Yeah.
that like she doesn't know about that stuff. And I feel like it's the type of thing that like almost comes up as like a revelation, like a burn book in Mean Girls later in the movie. Like that should happen. It also feels the most lib square of the storylines where it's like Barry Levinston being like, I know about James Brown, like I'm one of the good guys, and it's like protesting too much or something. I
Totally.
don't know.
Yeah, no, again, it feels very, very boilerplate, very, like I
Yeah.
said, like very like stock. Speaking of stock, like stock coming of age in the 50s. Not to pick on boomers again, but like that style of storyline where like there's some convenient targets of social antiquity that I can say, like, look how much we've grown since then.
Joe Mantegna stuff. I like Joe Mantegna just as an actor. I don't think that his character is particularly, it's not one of his better characters to play. And I think that whole storyline gets completely derailed by the Orlando Jones character, an actor I like normally, but I just think that he seems out of place in a Barry Levinson movie.
Totally.
At least just his choice for the performance seems out of place for the rest of the movie with the other performances. And I guess I liked the Adrian Brody stuff the most because I think that he sort of underplays it a bit and you sort of let the material kind of come to you more, whereas the other ones are a little bit more like underlined. And also I just watched The Heartbreak Kid for the first time, the Elaine May one, and I saw some parallels between like Charles Grodin is the Jewish guy trying to go for like the dream wasp girl in Sybil Shepherd, and kind of the same situation here. I don't think like where that the plot line in Liberty Heights resolves is all that surprising or interesting, but I don't know. I liked I forgot what his name was. The character who the rich character that Adrian Brody, Justin Chambers is the
Yeah.
actor. I liked what he did with that character.
That
And
could be a very easy stereotype that he chooses to play
yeah,
really.
yeah, I like all the scenes with Justin Chambers and with Adrian Brody a lot. And I think that kind of makes it so I perked up when that storyline was happening. It's a movie that's weird because it's a very cozy watch in a way, but it feels like kind of a bad Rob Reiner movie, like flipped.
That's what yeah, I think cozy is a great word for this. Like
Yeah.
cozy, because it is just, again, it is a very safe movie that I don't want to say pretends, but aspires to be kind of daring, and it isn't.
Hmm.
Barry Levinson's ethos is kind of like somewhere around the like I can be provocative but not too provocative, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
it's just I don't want to say he wasn't the right filmmaker for this because I know there's a degree to which this is like autobiographical and but it feels like he's stretching a little bit outside the realm of like what really works here. And the times where he's stretching make the movie worse because it feels insincere or like inauthentic.
It feels a little bit like um if you're cooking a stew and you haven't poured in the Stephen King yet.
Yeah,
like
there you go.
it's almost like they set up like all these characters that would exist in like a 50s set
Right.
Stephen King story, but they just haven't introduced aliens yet. It's okay. I my biggest takeaway from the movie is two things. One is I'll always have a little bit of affection for it because there was a movie theater that's now closed, but it opened up in my downtown area, which is near where I live now. And this was like one of the first movies that played there. And I remember being 17 years old and me and all my friends who were seniors in high school being like, "Ooh, there's an art house theater like nearby. Like, let's go like get our art house on." And we felt very sophisticated seeing like being John Malkovich there and Boys Don't Cry and Liberty Heights and stuff like that. And then also this was a movie that I recommended a lot to people when I worked at Blockbuster. And now I kind of want to go back in time and be like, it's really not that good. Yeah, it's Liberty Heights. It's a movie that I bought at Half Price Books for 3.99. It was a snap case. I opened it up and it just said it like went oh, because like nobody has opened the snap. And then when I put it in, like it just said like I pressed play on the menu and it just said, "Really?" And I
Thank
was like,
you. Thank you. Oh,
it just said thanks. All right, one thing I forgot to mention.
yeah.
We have now the full history. Well, not full history, but basically we know what Ben Foster's screen persona is. He was still developing it at the time. He had like minor part on Freaks and Geeks. He was in Get Over It, stuff like that. It's jarring to see him play wiseacre guy that we're supposed to like when you're just like, I believe him as the guy who dresses like Hitler. I'll recommend a Ben Foster movie that
There
I
you
think
go.
is kind of forgotten. Have you seen The Messenger with him and Woody Harrelson?
No, I don't think so.
It's really good. It's from like 2008. I would recommend that one. Anyways, enough about Ben Foster. This is about Joe
Joe
Mantegna.
Mantegna. Yeah.
Joe, thank you very much. We will
Joe
see you next week with the final review of the month of Joe Mantegna.
Mantegna. We're closing things out
Yeah.
with a little movie starring Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser,
Mm-hmm.
Academy Award participant attendee Steve Buscemi,
Sure.
Netflix all-star Adam Sandler,
Yeah.
talking about Airheads, baby.
Yeah. Michael Lehman's Airheads.
Airheads, which I have
Yeah.
not watched probably since the last time Comedy Central aired it at 4 p.m. in the year 2003.
I watched it not too long ago, but I forgot why. It was for a specific reason. I
All right,
can't
well, I'm
remember.
excited to watch it again because again,
Yeah,
this was an after school come home and put on Comedy Central. Airheads is on type movie.
totally. It'll be fun. Patrick will be joining us. Rob's cat, Joe Meow Tanya, will be joining us.
Ooh,
I was sitting on that for like
right.
the
I could,
entire
yeah,
review.
I feel like you were sitting on something. So that's great.
Yeah, yeah. Now I can finally rest. Until next time, thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, thank you again for joining us. And until next time, Rob, take it away.
Don't fucking dress like Hitler. It's a bad idea.
Even as a joke, just get
Don't
over
just don't
yourself.
do it. We have enough issues right now. Please, it's not funny.